People love watching shows about horrible stuck-up rich kids. That's literally just what Jessie is. It's like Gossip Girl for Disney Channel. Kid will be rude, kid gets checked on being rude, kid apologizes, and then they go back to being rude. It's just like the formula of the series. Misogynoir. That's all I gotta say about her character. She is just a walking misogynoir. Jessie is a terrible show. No, I don't think it's a terrible show. It's like Gossip Girl. What made it bad is what made it so good. I can't stand her. I think she's a bitch, okay? She's the head bitch in charge, but she's also just a straight up bitch. She is just freaking horrible.
She's obviously a very, very beautiful woman, but when she opens up her mouth, you know, it's like dirt.
Today's gonna be a fun one. Hey y'all, it's Harriana and I'm back with another video. If you're new here, welcome to or welcome back to The Pirate Ship, also known as Harry Hook's Pirate Ship. Always remember that I am the captain. You are not my first mate. I don't got no first mate. Nobody is worthy of being the first mate. Okay. Now let me go ahead and get the outline pulled up because I did not have it pulled up. Okay, y'all, this show is just so freaking ghetto. I never realized how ghetto this show was, but we're gonna get into that in a minute. As you guys see anything different about the new scenery, I got my lights working again, okay, because my last fairy lights that I had, I broke them because I'm getting too thick and I broke them with my booty. No, I wasn't. I'm not thick at all, y'all, but my butt broke them. So we got new fairy lights. Hopefully these don't break on me this time. But today we are going to be talking about Disney's Jessie. And when I was younger, I never understood why adults hated this show. But now that I am an adult myself, I completely understand why. And we're going to go ahead and talk about that. But before we get into that, today we have a sponsor, okay? Today's video is sponsored by BGL Jewelry. Y'all already know I love me some BGL Beauty. Okay, y'all already know I love them. I love BGL Jewelry so freaking much. Like, okay, they are like one of my favorite brands to work with at the moment. They are also very, very supportive of The Pirate Ship. And y'all know I don't do cheap. I don't do cheap quality over here. Y'all know I'm a bougie girl, okay? I like my stuff to be good quality, but I also like my stuff to be very, very affordable. So I'm going to show you guys the pieces that I have on right now. Okay, hold on. Okay, as you guys see right here, I have my 7 chakra bracelet. I have it on right here, and this is super duper cute. It goes with a lot of my outfits. As you guys know, I do like to wear a lot of streetwear and whatnot. This just goes perfect with a lot of the things that I choose to wear. Okay, and now y'all are crooked. What is going on with my camera today? Black Girl Magic necklace. I will zoom in so you guys can see it a little bit more. Isn't that like so freaking pretty? So freaking gorgeous. So beautiful. We love that. And then also we have the Hot Girl hair clip. As you guys know, Hot Girl Summer has approached us and every hot girl deserves one of these, especially every hot black girl out there, okay? If you guys are interested in any of these products, I will have them all linked down below so you guys can purchase them. They are also running a 20% off sale at the moment, and they also have free shipping. So make sure you shop bgljewelry.com. I will have the link down below. I will also have the link to their Instagram down below. Now, let's carry on with this video because we got a lot to unpack. I did not think this outline was going to be this long, okay? I had to bring my big laptop out, okay? Y'all know I have 2 laptops. I usually have my little one that I sit right here, and I have my big one that sits right here that I do all my live streams and stuff on, okay? Let's go ahead and get into this long ass outline, okay? So, Jessie. So many of y'all have been requesting me to talk about Jessie, and y'all want to know the main reason why I did not? It was for a real petty ass reason, because somebody on Tumblr was being rude to me about talking about Jessie, and I was not here for the attitude, okay? You don't tell me what to do. I am the captain. You are not my first mate. How many times I gotta let y'all know that? Y'all, I don't know what that thing is. Maybe it's because I'm a Sagittarius or something. But every time somebody tries to make me do something, it makes me not want to do it. And I lose interest in it. So I lost interest in doing a video about Jessie for months. Okay? Because that person was just being so rude to me about it. But this is one of my most requested topics ever, and I just avoided it a lot of the times because I already made one video about Jessie and I was going to make another one, then that person was rude to me. But Jessie is just a show that has so many issues and there's just so many things to debunk them. So we're just going to go ahead and start debunking some of the issues within this series today because like I said, this series is ghetto. This series is so freaking ghetto. It is such a hot mess and there's just so much about this show that bothers me and I really don't know where to begin. There's just so much discourse that can just be discussed about the mess that is Disney Channel's Jessie. As I said, do I think it's a bad show? No. Do I think it has issues? Yes. And do I think it's bad for the culture? Correct. That is correct. Like the way I feel about Jessie is the way I feel about a lot of Dan Snyder shows because it has the three key things that are in almost every Dan Snyder show out here. You have racism, you have misogyny, and you have fat phobia. Those are like the big three issues that I find within this series, okay, that did not age very well. Now, I do want to make a separate video about the fat phobia with Jessie because that was a big problem, okay? Like, y'all, that deserves a whole video on itself. I was gonna make the entire, like, video of this about all the issues within Jessie, but it is currently 1 a.m. I know my family don't want to hear me yapping up my mouth the entire time, and I also don't have the energy to make an hour-long video, okay? Your girl is tired. Your girl is sleep-deprived. I be going through it, okay? Like I said, it's late and I just want to focus on the kids in this one because I feel like because the show focuses on the kids, this is like the main problem. And not saying everything else isn't a problem, but this is like the main problem because this is what we do with the most. So for those of you who have never seen Jessie, let's begin because I know a lot of people who watch me don't like watching the stuff that I have in my videos. You're a real one though. You're a real one on the pirate ship and you have no idea what I freaking talk about on here. You just like me. Kudos to you, okay? But like I said, Disney Channel had a series called Jessie that ran during my teenage years. It started when I was 12 and I think it ended when I was about like 16, 17 years old. But the show started Debbie Ryan and LOL. That's all I gotta say. The show started Debbie Ryan and yeah, she is a woman. You know, her name's Jessie in the show. She moves to New York to pursue her dreams as she came from a smaller town. She was a military brat. She was used to just living all over the place. And instead of, you know, just her going out to New York and fulfilling her dreams, you know, you gotta have a job when you go to these places. She is stuck nannying 4 spoiled rich kids. So that's literally just the entire premise of this series. It's a sitcom. You don't really have to watch the show all the time in order to understand completely what's going on when it comes to the kids. But when it comes to Jessie and like her love life and whatnot, you actually do have to be watching for that. But I'm gonna be real, I really didn't give a fuck about Jessie's love life because, you know, I will say every other cuss word on this channel, but I'm not going to say that one because I feel like YouTube would demonetize me there. But I just did not give a freak about Jessie's love life. Anyway, besides that, she becomes the nanny of 4, I always do that, 4 spoiled rich kids. They are the kids of a famous couple, Morgan and Christina Ross, who are some of the worst parents ever. Okay, you didn't hear that. I don't know why they didn't have defects called on them or whatever. It was because they were rich. That's why they didn't have defects called on them. But they were very, very freaking horrible parents. And they had 4 kids named Emma, Luke, Zuri, and Robbie. Emma was white. She is the only biological child of Morgan and Christina. She is also the oldest. Then we have Luke. Luke is biracial, half black, half white. He is adopted. Then we had Zuri. Zuri is actually the youngest child, but she was the 3rd one. She's the 3rd in, like, you know, the line. Not the 3rd one adopted. She's the 2nd one adopted, but she is the youngest kid. Zuri is African, adopted. And then last but not least, we have Robbie, who is actually the 3rd youngest, but he was the last to be adopted. He is Indian. So though that is just like the background of all of the kids. Very diverse bunch. Is it good diversity? No, because the kids are freaking horrible. But when you look at it, you're like, okay, I see what Disney was trying to do here. They was trying to do one of them shows, like, you know how rich people always like to adopt kids from like Africa and whatnot, and then, you know, they get the praise because they have kids of color. Like, that's literally what this family is doing. That's literally what they're doing, okay? Literally all of these kids are terrible, okay? That's why I was just talking about the diversity in the show is just awful, okay? Because it's like you did it there, getting the kids at different backgrounds. We even got a dark-skinned girl up in here too. The kids are not written well. They are all horrible people. Literally all of them are terrible. Robbie started out being a good person and then he just turned into a horrible ass person. Like, these kids have no respect for any adults in this series. And it's so freaking frustrating. Like, no ma'am, no ma'am, no ma'am. Like, they literally push around the two people that take care of them the most, which is Jessie, their nanny, and then their butler, Bertram. Because you know, their mama and daddy, Morgan and Christina, are not there to take care of them. They're just too busy with their famous careers and whatever. They don't bother taking their kids with them or whatever. They just shoved them there in New York, and they just left two adults that they barely knew to begin with to take care of them. Like, Morgan and Christina are very horrible parents. There have been so many like discourse I've seen on TikTok where people just talk about how Morgan and Christina are just awful. Like, the butler and the nanny are literally raising kids. Like, these people aren't even old enough to be their parents. Like, Disney, why made y'all think this is a good idea? Please, Houseway, make that make sense. Make that make sense. Anyway, let's start with Emma. Now, I said Emma Ross. Emma is the oldest, and if you've been following me on TikTok and if you've been following me on Tumblr, you know that I don't like Emma Ross. I can't stand her. I think she's a bitch, okay? She's the head bitch in charge, but she's also just a straight up bitch. She is just freaking horrible, and I blame Emma for how the rest of them act, because as she is the oldest kid, you know, as you're the oldest, you're supposed to lead the example. You're supposed to set the example for your younger siblings, and I see that she had this really nasty attitude and the other three just followed along. Okay, like, they saw their older sister acting this way and then they thought it was okay to do so. Like, Emma just annoyed me so much because she could not dish what she served. She could not take it, okay? She was all barking and no bite. She was a barking ass bitch. That's one thing I really did not like about Emma, because like, whenever something bad happened to Emma, it was so hard for me to feel bad for her, because Emma was not a good person. She was not a good person whatsoever, because like I said, don't get me wrong, I love Peyton List. I think Peyton List is very, very talented. Very, very huge fan of her and her work. I love her on Cobra Kai. Go watch this show, by the way. Peyton List, amazing, okay? But Emma Ross was just not it. Emma Ross is just terrible. Emma has to go. I don't like Emma whatsoever. Like, it's one particular episode, and it's funny because someone on Twitter mentioned this, and I was like, I literally had this episode in our outline, but it was this episode where she was getting bullied by Rosie, and she just was like hurt by the fact that there was somebody that was able to stand up to her. Like, that really just pissed me off, because Rosie was over here bullying her, and ma'am, like, Disney and Nick really be killing me when they do this with their shows all the time, because they did it all the time on Victorious. They did it all the time on iCarly. They did it all the time on freaking Drake and Josh, when they have these horrible characters and then they put them in situations where you're supposed to sympathize for them and feel bad for them for what they're going through. And it's like what Tulip in Infinity Train said when she found out the conductor like backstory. She was like, why are you making me feel bad for her? She's a horrible person. That's how I just felt with Emma's when she was doing what she did. And what bothered me the most about it is that you think that Emma would have went on to being a nicer person and being a nicer girl and start treating people better. No, she didn't. She didn't, because she started being rude to Rosie later. I don't get this show. I don't freaking get this series whatsoever. Anyway, stop trying to make me feel bad for horrible people, y'all. Okay. I know Emma was a child and whatnot, but she didn't change. She was still horrible and bunked when I watched that for some few times. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into Luke. Luke is just a dickhead. That's just the best way to describe Luke. Luke is just terrible all around. And don't get me wrong, I think the entire cast most of them, of Jessie are lovely people, but like the characters that they played were awful. They were so freaking awful. Like Luke, he was rude. He didn't bathe. He didn't respect women. He didn't pay attention in class. He didn't do his own work. He had F's. Like it's like Emma all over again when it comes to like how Luke would be put in situations where you were supposed to sympathize for him. Because you know Luke, there was just kind of like this little small dynamic that went on during the series with Creepy Connie, and Creepy Connie basically was a girl that was harassing him. She had a really big crush on Luke. She couldn't take no for an answer, and she just started harassing him, okay? Because, you know, Luke was being harassed by Connie, which is very, very wrong. Like, she was just stalking him, which, I'm gonna be real, this is like an ongoing thing in kids shows where they always make serious situations out to be funny. Like, somebody getting stalked is not funny, okay? It's not funny whatsoever. I literally had some kind of similar situation going on with me it was this year and then last year and then part of 2019. It was not fun whatsoever. There is nothing funny about stalking, okay? Like, try to put yourself in someone else's shoes. There's nothing funny about somebody being harassed because you don't want to date them. There's nothing funny about that. And as I rewatch this saga of Jessie, it's actually not funny to me anymore. As I've grown up and I've matured a little bit, it's not. I'm not giggling. But when I did feel bad for him there, but that really just did not excuse Luke for being a horrible freaking person, because after like the Creepy Connie stuff and whatever, he just went back to being horrible. He would constantly hit on Jessie, his nanny, the woman who is supposed to be there to care for him, the one that takes care of him. He would constantly be hitting on her, and it was really, really annoying. But honestly, like, as anybody that's been hit on before, you know that it's annoying, but it's also really, really freaking rude. It's actually very disrespectful, and you don't treat people like that. You don't do that to people. And, you know, Jessie was just there to take care of Luke, but then he just kept throwing himself at her. He kept trying to flirt with her, and it was just no. And I'm just glad she never really entertained it like that, and she always just shut it down, because it was just very distasteful, okay? Moving on to Miss Zuri Ross. Misogynoir. That's all I gotta say about her character. She is just a walking misogynoir. I think she might be one of the worst black characters I have seen on Disney Channel in a minute. Like, Zuri is just one of the worst cases of misogynoir on Disney Channel. Behind Hannah Montana's Roxy. Whoo! Okay, we gonna get into Hannah Montana next. Okay, we gotta get through JC first. Okay. But the only thing to Zuri's character is that she was just a sassy black girl. Like, that's literally it. That's literally all to her character. She was just a sassy black girl. That's all. And it's so obvious that out of the 4 kids, they really didn't know much to do with her. Like, it's so obvious they didn't know what to do with her, because she always had the worst storylines, and then her best storylines usually involve Stuart, played by the oh so beautiful Josie Toto. We love her. We love Josie over here, but like, Stuart was not it. Stuart was just really freaking irritating. They always put her into situations where the worst of Zuri will come out, and then next thing you know, she'll feel bad, and then she'll apologize, and then she'll go back to being terrible. That's one thing I just can't stand about this series. We're gonna get into that later. We're gonna get back into that later. But she always had like the worst storylines whatsoever, and it's like Zuri was always put in situations where she could be rude. She was always just put in situations where her being rude would be seen as comedic or whatever. It's like I said, it's just obvious that the writers didn't know what to do with her, aside from just being a mean, sassy, loud black girl. That's literally all that was to her. Literally, that's it. It's just sad. They just did that just to get a laugh from the audience. And you guys know I have my feelings about Sky Jackson and things like that, but she didn't deserve this. I really wish they gave her a better character to play. Like, she literally act the same way as she did as a little girl when she grew up. That is not okay. You can stop be acting like that. You cannot be having temper tantrums and things like that. Like, she is the youngest kid. Like, she was about babyish when she was introduced in the show. She was about 6 years old. And then when she got older, she was probably about like 11. And no growth was there. No growth was there. She still acted like that really, really childish little kid that she played when the show introduced her. Okay? Like, the show, she literally came into the show chasing the nanny out. That was so weird. That was so freaking weird how we meet our introduction to her. But like I said, you're supposed to outgrow that little kid attitude that you have at a certain point. And Zuri never outgrew hers. Now we're moving on to Ravi. Ravi, I literally made a whole entire video about him. I will have that link down below. Ravi was the nicest of the 4 kids, and then he started to get rude as the show started to go on and on more, as the other 3 kids started to rub off on him. As you know, he lived with them. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Disney literally just made Baljeet 2.0 with Ravi. It's the same character. It's literally just the same character. The smart Asian kid who was the butt of all the jokes and mistreated by everyone. That's literally what Ravi was. It's sad. It's just so freaking sad. Like, Ravi, it's so obvious that the writers just enjoyed making fun of him. Like, literally a whole bunch of episodes that he would be put in, his classmates would be laughing at him, making fun of him. They'll have Luke being mean to him. And that's another thing that just really bothered me, because Luke would be straight up racist to Ravi sometimes, and it was played off for laughs. Like, no, no. The show is ghetto. Like, I'm actually laughing right now because I could not believe how ridiculous this is. I was like, I'm really sitting here and I'm watching this. This was okay. They really thought it was okay to show this to children. Anyway, like I said, there was an episode where Luke was literally making fun of Indian culture, and I was just like, no, like, I was laughing because I felt very uncomfortable, where I was just like, Disney, this what we doing? This is what we're doing. Okay, this is what we're doing. Now, I went through all of that mess with the kids and whatnot. Now, my main problem with these kids is that every time, like, I kept up with the show, like, y'all, I was a big fan of the series. I was a big fan of everybody that was on it at the time. But one thing that really irritated me about this series is that every time they did new promotions for the show, talking about like the new season or like the new set of episodes that are going to be airing, they always talked about how the characters are growing and how they're changing and they're maturing and whatnot. And I'm just like, no ma'am, they did not change at all. They did not mature. They did not change at all, because that's one thing that really annoyed me though with this series, especially like, that's one thing I really liked about Shake It Up and Good Luck Charlie, is that when the kids learned the lessons, they learned them and then they started to get better. No, in the episode of Jessie, kid will be rude, kid gets checked on being rude, kid apologizes, and then they go back to being rude. It's just like the formula of the series, okay? Now, they always talk about how the kids were changing. No, they did not. They just got worse. And one of the main issues that I see with this show is that they did not know how to treat adults. As I mentioned, how they always mistreated Jessie and how they always mistreated Bertram. It's not that they didn't know how to treat adults. They just didn't know how to treat people in general, okay? It wasn't just Bertram, and it wasn't just... Shut up, TikTok. It wasn't just Bertram and it just wasn't Jessie. It would be like random people they would see out in the street, especially the people at the park. They were so mean to the people they met at the park, okay? It would be random people that they would just see out and about. It would be the kids at their school. And it just got more and more irritating to watch. Like, it's just frustrating. This show is just really freaking frustrating, and I don't know what to do about it. Now, do I think Jessie is a terrible show? No, I don't think it's a terrible show. It's like Gossip Girl. What made it bad is what made it so good. It got more and more irritating to watch. But like I said, people love watching shows about horrible stuck-up rich kids. That's literally just what Jessie is. It's like Gossip Girl for Disney Channel. Rich kids in New York being a hot-ass mess, okay? It's just a kid-friendly version of that. That's probably why I enjoyed it so much. Like, what made it bad is what made it good. This show literally is just very, very entertaining. It's about rude children, okay? It's funny when it's not happening in real life, but it's also not funny to a certain extent, because I gotta think of the kids, y'all. You know, on the pirate ship, you know, we are very thoughtful of the children, and we always take them into consideration. As you know, this series right here is aimed towards children, because I have heard numerous stories of parents not really allowing their kids to watch certain shows on Disney Channel, and this show always came up because the parents complained about how freaking rude the kids were on it. Now, to be honest, in my opinion, I don't think anyone under the age of 10 should watch this series, okay? Punked has a really, really big problem with this, and they get away with it a lot more is because there's barely any adults present in that series, and it's just kids being rude to kids. But Jessie here is just the kids being rude to just freaking everyone. I've heard numerous stories of parents not really allowing their younger kids to watch this series, and I completely understand too. I would not feel comfortable showing this show to a really small child. I would not. No one under the age of 10 should watch Jessie, in my opinion, okay? Because this also was one of the Disney Channel shows that actually did have like a lot of like sexual innuendos in there too. And usually I'm used to seeing more of that on Nickelodeon and whatnot, but a lot of them jokes, like I said, some flew over your head, and then some of them you got them and then you laughed at them for being immature, okay? Like, with kids will literally copy the personalities of anybody that they see on television. I know from personal experience. I literally shaped my entire personality after Freddie Benson from iCarly. That's why I act the way I do, okay? I literally am female Freddie Benson. Female black Freddie Benson, okay? Kids will literally copy the personalities that they see on TV and just run with them, okay? That's why so many people wouldn't let their kids watch Total Drama when I was a kid. I completely understand, because we started having some Heathers in our grade, and that was not a good thing. It was a freaking mess. And parents don't want that. Parents do not want their kids out here acting like an Emma Ross. You don't, please. Please don't raise an Emma Ross, y'all. Please don't. Please don't. But yeah, don't let your kids watch Jessie. If they're young, because what is this mess? It's a hot freaking mess, okay? There's just so many freaking issues with this show, and the kids just being a hot mess is one of the big problems. Like I said, Jessie is a hot mess. That's all I got to say about this video. If you like this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you like me and want to see more of me, please hit that subscribe button. Please give this video a like, and also leave a comment down below, because you know we got to do the algorithm justice, okay? Now, self-promotion time. If you guys love this video and you would like to see more of me and you would like to support this channel, please head over to Patreon at Hariana Hook. I would deeply appreciate it. The lowest tier is $1. When it comes to Patreon, I have a lot to offer over there. Access to my Discord, early access to my videos, exclusive behind the scenes videos. You get access to updates for the Progenies, the first 2 episodes of the Progenies. The new episodes are there to watch. Can't wait for you guys to see them. Next, we have my merchandise. I have a store called HarianaHook.com. These nails right here, literally just added them to the store. Super cute. As this video goes up, we are still having our 50% off sale. Please go over there and check it out. Okay. Follow me on everything at Hariana. Twitter, Tumblr, Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram, Wattpad, the whole 9. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was very, very fun to make, but I am exhausted and I'm so hot in here. Why is my room so freaking hot? Love you guys. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good night.
Just blow your mind. Buttercup like villains 3 at a time. Bubbles will smile while kicking your butt, and Blossom will lead them out of their rut. Cherish and Powerpuff, 2 of a kind. Both wanna save the world before bedtime. From Townsville, Memphis, New York to LA, the Powerpuff Girls are just here to stay.